In today's episode of State Connect, I'm speaking to a top minister of the state of Kerala. Now, the state of Kerala has been an outlier in a positive sense throughout the COVID-19 menace in terms of flattening the curve earlier than anyone else. The handling of the medical crisis has in fact become an example that the world is trying to follow, emulate and understand. So kudos has come their way in terms of how the health crisis has really been handled. The question is, how will the economic crisis be handled? Now, the state of Kerala is in a unique position in terms of how it could be hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. One is remittances, which account for a large part of the state's revenues, are likely to be hit for some time. We also have a large number of workers, Indian workers originating from Kerala who are coming back. What is the impact that will have? What happens to the domestic tourism economy and how badly will it be hit? To answer some of these questions, I'm joined now by Dr. Thomas Isaac, State Finance Minister for the state of Kerala. Dr. Isaac, thank you so much for speaking with us on this special series. Let me first get your take of the challenge that Kerala faces in getting industry back on track.
Sorry. We have made an assessment what would be the economic impact of COVID in Kerala. Our expectation is if you are thinking of a 5% inflation and that it would take 6 months before we get back to normal, the state domestic economy, state GSDP, would shrink by 15%. That's fairly drastic. That's because we are a service economy, and that is going to be very seriously affected. Also because the remittances inflow are going to decline. Tourism entirely will be blocked. So our export industries are very seriously affected. Therefore, I think it's a very realistic assessment, but much more drastic than the predictions for the national economy, where now it is already -5, but I think they are being very cautious. I think the shrinkage of national economy would be even higher, so 15%. So we are thinking, say, by month 6 from now, we should be back to normal. I don't know if it will be permitted. For simple reason, we don't know what's going to happen to the pandemic. But even if the COVID is there, while protecting the life of people, we want to offer livelihood without compromising upon their lives. Now, this is done through our time-tested method of testing, tracing, isolating, supporting. That will be vigorously continued with respect to all people who are going to come from outside Kerala. Second, and this is important, we are going to have a reverse quarantining of all the vulnerable sections, which is a large number, some 15 to 20% of the population. Anybody above the age of 65, those who have bad medical conditions, chronic diseases, they would be ordered to stay indoors. Local governments will ensure that they stay indoors. There will be telemedicine for them. Drugs will be delivered to the houses. If necessary, food will be given to them. And palliative care and so on, a comprehensive package. This will be undertaken by the local governments. So quality may vary, but I think this is our strategy. We are moving towards it. So once you have the outsiders, those who come from outside, under observation, all the vulnerable sections indoors, Then rest of the healthy population will go out and work, keeping the physical distancing and so on.
What's the assessment, if I may ask, Mr. Minister? And I just request you to speak a little louder if you can, because we're getting a bit of an echo. Yeah. What's the assessment of the number of migrants coming in? And I'm using the word migrants as a broad term. I'm not just talking about migrant workers domestically, but even internationally. How many have come in? How many do you think will come in and will now require employment within the state?
My estimate is some 5 lakh persons from outside will come back to Kerala in the next 3 months. Of course, spread over 3 months. Okay, 5 lakh persons, of which about half would be dependents. No, they are not working people, migrants outside. Every Malayali is thinking of sending back their family back to Kerala because they think Kerala is safe. So a lot of family dependents will be coming back, while the adults will be staying back in their respective countries or other outside cities. So for them, I think these people they can take largely care of themselves. But we'll have to, most of them are elderly and so on. As I told you, we'll have to have reverse quarantining, protecting them and so on. But 1 lakh persons, at least, who had a lost job would be coming back. And that, if things don't pick up in Gulf, it may go to, I don't know, I cannot estimate, but 2, 3. That would be a very serious problem, that kind of number. Because now, to rehabilitate them or reintegrate them, while the economy is stagnating, is going to be a difficulty. If the economy is growing, okay, people are returning, you can integrate them. But when the economy is in a slump, how do you integrate these persons who come from outside? It's a big challenge. So we have now Kerala Bank, our State Finance Corporation, we have some other financial institutions, cooperatives. I'm going to take some bold steps to provide money for those who want to become an entrepreneur. Okay. But still, there is a big problem here. I accept that. But what we are going to do is, we are going to open up agriculture first. That's it. See, Kerala, our per capita income is 60% higher than national average, particularly because of migration. Therefore, have got into the bad habit of not cultivating. We think you can buy anything with money. We import around 70% of our consumption from outside, okay? That's the nature of Kerala economy. Now, things are changing. For the first time, people are getting a fear after a long time that we are chronically food deficit state, food may not be available. Supply chains may break. Vegetables, suppose, in the neighboring Tamil Nadu and so on, God forbid that none will come. But suppose it becomes pandemic, then, when vegetables may dry up. Therefore, there is now a slight fear, anxiety. So we want to ride on that.
No, so when you say you want to open up agriculture, what do you mean? What do you mean by opening up agriculture? Are you hoping that all of these people who are coming back from other countries, many of them from the Gulf, will come back and become agriculturists?
Not yet, but even people in Kerala. I hope you have visited Kerala. You would have found our settlement pattern is very different. We have homestead gardens where mixed crops are grown. There is coconut. Under the coconut, there are other trees and bananas and so on. Under the bananas, you have, say, vegetables. So multiple crops, 3-tier crops. That used to be Kerala. Now these intercrops are very labor intensive. So when labor became very costly and people became rich, nobody wanted to cultivate that way, and intercrops have disappeared. So now our strategy is to bring back the intercrops, have double cropping vegetables, etc. in the paddy land. So this is appropriate time. That's you tell them there is going to be a problem here. So make some level of patriotic feeling also. We have starting a big campaign calling for self-sufficiency in vegetables, milk, egg, meat. So this is going to be, we are putting some 3,500 crores into this campaign. Okay. And MGNRE is going to be used in a big way to reclaim the wasteland, to rejuvenate our canals and so on. So this is a big operation. I think this is something we can do, even under lockdown conditions, because we will have to occasionally go back to lockdowns and so on. But this will go uninterrupted. In your compound, cultivating who can object to. Second would come, which is already open, our cottage industries, say traditional industries like coir, handloom, plywoods, bamboo, and so on. They are opened up. The factories have started working already. So that will be and we have to be innovative to find the markets. That's the big challenge. For example, let me tell you, coir. No, the mats to rub your feet. But now it has become unfashionable. People want to use synthetic carpets.
Right.
They use, base cotton and so on. And now we are starting a marketing campaign to go all India. Let's have COVID mats. Okay, you can have a tray with a disinfectant and you put your coir mat inside. Coir is not affected by water. Therefore, you step onto it, water will rush up, cleaning your feet. So sanitize your hand and feet before you go into your apartment or house. So you find market for it in COVID. So similarly, for many of our traditional industries, you have to look for innovative ways of finding market. Then the modern industries, we have fixed our priorities. One, Kerala Health is a good brand now. And therefore, we will concentrate on pharmaceutical industry, a new pharmaceutical park. And Kerala generic medicine, okay. Brand will be Kerala, but generic medicine. Or medical devices. We are having a medical devices park in collaboration with Sri Medical Devices Institute in Trivandrum. So medicine, IT. Okay. In the post-pandemic world, IT input into all industry, etc., is going to rapidly increase because there will be a large amount of automation, robotization taking place in the production process. So
right.
We want to get on to that. So
may I ask a follow-up question, Dr. Thomas? The question is about unemployment rates and labor laws. Now, according to the PLFS, that's the Periodic Labor Force Survey in 2017-18, Kerala's unemployment rates were at 11%, a little higher than the national average. We also have right now a situation where several states are trying to tweak their labor laws. Everyone is in this race to attract new industry, loosen up their labor laws, etc. Where does Kerala stand on this, and how will you manage the unemployment rates?
Very clear. We are not going to dilute any of our labor laws. That's simple, straightforward. This pandemic is the worst time to do that. See, already unemployment is so high. So what do you do? What is being done? 11 states in India have extended the working time. I would say logically, when there is high unemployment, you should reduce the working time so that more people are employed. That's the simple logic. Instead, you are saying unemployment is increasing, migrant laborers are coming back to our place, and therefore we are going to extend the labor time from 8 to 12 hours. What is the logic in that? See, the thing is that you are making the disaster an opportunity to put forth certain programs which otherwise wouldn't be acceptable. Now, Kerala, see, we want to invite the investors to Kerala, etc. But there are two things we won't compromise on our environmental laws. We are already badly doing in environment. We cannot compromise on that further. Two, labor rights. No. Within that, see, we are making huge investment, about 50,000 crores rupees in infrastructure alone. Okay, that's the kind of investment. Not from the budget. Okay, budget, how can I collect that money? We are using SPVs to mobilize resources, invest, and we have a business model for it. It's successful. The program is on. Already 30,000 crores projects are grounded. Our roads are going to improve. Entire road system is going to be improved. We are going to have good industrial parks. All this will provide. But we won't compromise on labor rights.
Okay.
That's it. So you say your wages are high, fine. That's good. If wages are high, there is more income for the who work. But then what do? You improve the technology. Look at the wages in developed countries. They're so high. And you think they lost out because of high wages? They change the technology. Now, there are two parts of it. You change the technology, improve productivity, and let the wages grow. Or you try to reduce the wages, increase the labor time, increase the workload. I think Kerala should choose the first option.
Okay, we're taking questions that people have, come in with as well, Mr. Minister. One of them is by a very well-known stock market investor, Porunju Velayat, who asks, how will Kerala pay back the ever-increasing government debt? And are there any plans to open up the Kerala economy to industries in a big way? I think you've answered the latter part, in part at least, about how Kerala will open up the industries. But I think this is a good time to talk about government debt and the central government's package recently, which allowed states to increase their borrowings, from 3 to 5%, of course, with conditions. Will Kerala be utilizing that increased borrowing and adhering to those conditions? And what about the high amounts of debt that state governments, including Kerala, are now going to be shoring up?
I think this whole obsession about burden of states' debt is misplaced. In India, for the last 2 decades, there is FRBM Act. No state can borrow more than 3%. Center has been breaking this law. No state can, because you are not given permission. You cannot borrow from the market without central government permission. So therefore, there is no question of debts overwhelming states unless only one way it can happen, that the rate of interest go out of hand and your rate of growth of the economy slump, then the debt is unsustainable. Otherwise, if your economy is growing more than the rate of interest, your debt is sustainable. That's economics. Rest are all just number games. This is my economy. I was taught by studying MA. Domer equation is called. So it's so simple. We have been growing at 12% average per annum, and our interest rate average has been 7, 8. We are perfectly sustainable that year. So I'm not bothered about it. But now they are permitting 5%. What will you do with that? Now suddenly there will be a jump in the debt. Look, 2008-9, all the developed countries had almost quantitative easing, as they call it. The debt GDP ratios, United States and other countries so dramatically increased. Everybody was saying that if you pump prime like this, there will be huge inflation. Was there inflation in the developed countries? No, yeah. Japan and so on, it was a negative inflation, perhaps inflation taking place. So this is this quantity theory of money. Money increases, therefore inflation will take place. The humbug, yeah. It was all just dumped after Kate. Now it is being resurrected in different ways. I don't believe in this at all. Okay. See, in the case of India now, there is so much unemployed resources. Nobody is working, human, material, everything. And there is no demand. So how does it affect anything other than the demand? And rejuvenate the economy, if you have more money pumped in, please, this is the last time. This is the least opportunity that you think of burden of debt.
Okay.
Pigu, somebody called Pigu had answered it long back. He said, we grow out of debt. You grow when you grow out of debt.
Okay. Let me get a specific take from you on the tourism sector. You mentioned it a little earlier at the beginning of the interview, really. There are some estimates that losses just between February to April in the tourism sector in the state have been close to 15,000 crore rupees. There are 15 lakh people who are dependent on tourism. And Kerala tourism has had a bad bout. There have been, Nipah, then the cyclone. It's not been easy. But COVID is something which might change things for longer because travel will be tough. How do you plan to tackle this in God's own country?
Oh, we are going to sell COVID. We are going to tell you this is the safest place in the world. You come here, we take care of you. Almost all the tourists who were interned in Kerala during the COVID time, because we are implementing very strictly the protocol, they couldn't leave unless they had quarantined themselves and tested negative. When they went back, they were amazed at the health facilities in Kerala and so on. Therefore, we are going to say, come to Kerala, this is the safest place. That's the way we are going to market Kerala. So Kerala brand is not just now God's own country, but a country which God takes care of you. Come, no problem. I think this will stand us in good stead because there is so much appreciation for what is happening. We can sense that. So particularly our health care system, I think health tourism is going to be a very important component. We are going to put to good use our Ayurveda massage system and so on, those who want traditional medicine. Even modern medicine, we are going to promote our super specialty hospitals in the private sector so that people can come outside, can come and have cheap treatment, relatively less costly treatment. And other places, well, see, people may be afraid to travel, but people want to travel here. How can you get voice change?
How will people get there? I mean, what is the kind of timeline you see for the tourism industry to really come back into its own shape? Globally, people are looking at another year before people even start wanting to travel. Most of it is likely to be short trips, day trips initially, before people feel safe enough to go and stay somewhere else.
Well, what you said is all correct. I won't debate about that. So we are planning to open next season. That's summer. Normal season starts the new year. People send New Year, etc., Christmas in their homes. Then they travel. Travel starts from January and summer. Well, I hope it will pick up by then. Maybe by then, the pandemic would have become the new normal, you see. You're not afraid of that. You live with that.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Isaac, for speaking with us today and adding your inputs to how the state of Kerala will march ahead in our special series, The State Connect.
Thank you.